doing a lot of videos answering some of these questions about teenagers and mental health. It is truly a growing problem. So today is going to be yet another one, but this one, more positive note, how can we help teenagers who are struggling with mental health? So stay tuned as we address that in this video. All right, helping teenagers deal with mental health, it's going to be about shifting the mindset. So in doing that, we have to talk about how present, past, and future, how we kind of work through those. We'll be talking about the kind of the phases that they need to go through in shifting their mindset. So it begins with taking responsibility. It's going to deal with cleaning up their past, building habits, getting an accountability team together, and turning those habits into rituals. We're going to be talking about all those different areas in this video. All right, to shift one's mindset, to help teenagers in this mental health crisis in the training, first we got to deal with the present. We got to deal with where they are at, the hand that's been played to them. That's in the present. So while in the present, first part of this, the first phase is getting them to take responsibility. Got to take responsibility for the time, the labels they've given themselves or they've accepted, the beliefs that they have, their values, decisions that they've made, unresolved negative emotions, and their memories. Now, all of those things are going to have roots to those laying in their past. That's why we're working with the memories. So that's where we're going to get into the past. We got to clean the past up. That's phase 2. We go back in, we're going to find out what some of the root causes are of limiting beliefs and decisions and unresolved negative emotions that they're still holding on to. Those things put like a glass ceiling on you. So when we go back, we clean that up. Then we got to come back to the present. And when we're in the present moment, we need to begin building habits. So what are these habits? We need to have a morning ritual and an evening ritual. The morning is all about having things in place that are going to help you prepare your mind, body, and spirit for the day. It's going to set the tone, help you kind of know where you're going, declutter some things, help you with your emotions to start the day out. The habits that you're creating then are going to get you ready to deal with whatever storms might be coming up during the day. In the evening, these habits you have in the evening should be getting your mind, body, spirit ready for rest and recovery. And part of that is learning how to process the day and learn from the day's events and let go of anything that might have been negative happening during the day. If you're going to build habits, you really need an accountability team. So as a family unit, business unit, team, just partners, husband, wife, partners, really good friends, the more closer the group is that you can do this, the more likely to have longer term success. You hold each other accountable, you keep lifting each other up and pushing each other as you're trying to build these habits. Because on average, it takes 66 consecutive days to build a habit. And we all know through like our experiences with New Year's resolutions and all, that it is not easy to build habits. So that's where the accountability team comes in. Lastly, we want to be taking these habits and making them rituals. When you ritualize these habits, you're giving purpose, meaning to them, you're adding something really special and unique, and you're far more likely to make them go long-term into the future and really make them special, more powerful than just unconscious habits. Unconscious habit, we get up in the morning and whatever that first thing is that you might do in the morning is very likely an unconscious habit, doesn't really have much purpose. You just do it every day. Well, these rituals will have purpose, meaning behind them, and you apply the meaning. When you do that, it's really going to help you be able to make these shifts. So let me kind of illustrate all this by telling you a little story. After my wife passed away from cancer in 2022, we were having gathering at our house, and I wanted to. We have a nice big backyard. A lot of people were coming over, and I really wanted to take this area that she and I had wanted to have a garden, and all we did was basically put plants on the ground. We didn't have a garden there, but we wanted to make this. I wanted to make this special. So I needed help because, yeah, I could look in one of my gardening books, and I had gardening books on how to do it, and probably could look things up on YouTube, but I really wanted to have somebody there who could really look at my garden and kind of give me feedback on this garden. So my sister, she was an expert. She's a really good gardener, very, very, very knowledgeable about gardening. So she came down and helped me figure out what the weeds were I needed to pull out. Maybe some of those weeds, they had deep roots, and she told me that and said, "Oh no, these roots and these weeds, man, you got to really go down and really make sure you dig them out, and it will kind of look like, you know, this when you dig them out." And she would show me, "Oh, you got some nice plants here that will bloom early, but you're lacking some that will bloom midsummer or late summer." And she helped me design the garden. It looked beautiful. It was it was beautiful. Well, make a long story short, that spring, I had actually, by late winter, gotten a new opportunity, living opportunity to live somewhere else. So I left the house to my children, who was a couple of roommates. They kind of took over the house. So when I came back to visit, like early in June, went out in the backyard, and the garden was totally overgrown. Totally, the weeds had just come over and totally overgrown it. Once you clean things up and you weed out those things that are interfering with your ability to reach your full potential, you need to keep at it. You got to have those habits in place to regularly get these weeds before they take deep roots. And you got to feed it. You got to water it. You got to put fertilizer and stuff down so all the good plants will really bloom and blossom and get the sun, and they won't be choked out. And that's what we need to do with our mindsets. So let me illustrate this with two different people. All right. So with that whole, keep in mind that whole garden story, right? So these are actually were two athletes I worked with. And one of them was in college and was a good college pitcher. In his own words, he was average, right? But his coach knew that he had talent to actually be playing at a Division I college. He was only playing Division III college. So his skill set was really there. But he just wasn't doing what his talent said he should be doing. So when I went into work with him, I had to help identify what these weeds were, these beliefs that he was holding on to that were interfering with that. And the one belief, that one weed that really dominated his garden, keeping it from blooming big, was this belief that he developed early on that a kid from a small town out in rural Maine would not be able to compete with guys from out of state. Wasn't going to be good enough. So basically, that's what the unconscious mind was telling his body to do. But once we discovered that weed was there and we unrooted it and took it out, in the last 2 years of his college career, he did not lose a game. He was a pitcher, and he did not lose a game. And he ended up playing minor league baseball for 3 years. Another student, she developed a belief going into her. She was an outstanding track athlete, one of the favorites to win the indoor 60-meter dash for the indoor track championship. Her main competitor, she had never beaten before, and she was in the other region of the state. So she pretty much knew she was going to be meeting her in the state meet. It would be head to head, those two. And she was also really wanted to get this college scholarships. Some D1 schools were looking at her. But she had not had any time improvement at all during her senior year. Going into the last regular season meet, she had had no improvements. But she had developed a belief that she had maxed out her potential. That was the weed. Once we removed that weed, in 4 successive meets, she set 4 consecutive records, won the state meet, got a D1 scholarship, and beat her nemesis. All because we were able to weed the garden and show her how to then take care of it from that point forward. Well, that wraps up another video, and I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and check out the other videos. In particular, you might be interested in checking out the video, Why is Mental Health Important to Teenagers? And I will see you in the next one.